Welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Heart and Soul. Episode 10, Mahogany Battle. Polito, use Bubble Beam! The small green frog Pokemon excitedly jumps before opening its mouth, aiming for the little cotton ball Pokemon in front of it, and one lone bubble leaves its mouth. Not again, Mason groans. And for all its hard work, Polito is rewarded with a razor leaf. Okay, Polito, this time let's try to get higher. Get above the Jump Puff, Mason calls. Jump Puff's trainer calls for Jump Puff to prevent this, but alas, the jumping water type is far better at getting a favorable position than they are at preventing it. And so once above, Mason once again calls for a Bubble Beam. And this time, it's a lot better. Still not where Mason feels it should be, but bubbles do rain down on the Jump Puff, and after quite a bit of battling against this trainer and their Pokemon, it finally faints. Mason walks up to Polito. We still got to get that Bubble Beam working, he whispers. The toad Pokemon solemnly nods. But, he's better than Water Gun, Mason states. We just need a bit more practice with it. But other than that, you've done great. With that, he returns his toad Pokemon and walks into the Mahogany gym. With a loud voice, Mason declares that he is ready to challenge this gym. And he then learns that the gym leader is the old man he saw trying to deal with the red Gyarados. And the old man recognizes him and quickly accepts his challenge before immediately sending out a Dewgong onto the field. This will be a 3v3. Only the trainer is allowed to make substitutions, states the ref. Mason grins, walking to his side. Okay, Pichu, it's up to you. The electric type quickly jumps onto the field. And well, this does not seem to be very smart at all, as Pichu struggles with the ice. Pichu also is able to counter aura beams with dizzy punches, and when Dewgong got too close to land an Ice Fang, Pichu was able to duck under the teeth and give the Dewgong an uppercut with Thunder Punch. And eventually, with Pichu being able to stall, Mason comes up with the idea for it to use its tail and feet to kick on the ice rocks and skid around. This does work reasonably, allowing the little Pichu to get in close enough to grab Dewgong's tail, and now in the primal position, release electric type attack after electric type attack. And the result of this, however, is Dewgong also being able to have the perfect spot to land its attacks. In the end, it's a double knockout with one Thunder Punch and Ice Fang collision. So, out comes a clam Pokemon Mason is unfamiliar with, but if he had to guess, he'd guess that it is also an ice water type. So he sends out Mareep. And this battle is actually rather quick, as the clam Pokemon turns out to be unhittable from its hard shell. However, Mason sees his opening when the clam Pokemon uses Ice Beam, trusting his Mareep to be able to land a Thunderbolt right onto the clam in between its open shell. Mareep does this at the cost of losing control over its now very icicle foot. But this is enough to end the clam. So out comes a Weasel. Not a Weasel, a Sneasel. I mean, it's probably a Weasel Pokemon, but yeah, Sneasel. And this battle ends up being a lot harder for Mareep. But there is one good thing for Mareep. The Sneasel turns out to be a close-up attacker, which means that even though Mareep can't really move, it can use Spark and Thunder Punch to counter most moves. And this goes on for a while, but slowly the ice on Mareep's foot starts to melt, and as that happens, Mareep slowly gains the upper hand until a double knockout. Mason smiles knowing he has 2 more Pokemon. Well, the gym leader only has 1, but in reality, there's only one choice for Mason, as Politoed's already tired. Sutowuto is probably about level 10, and Kingdra doesn't obey him. So, his answer to the Poliswine sent out on the other side of the field is asleep, unfortunately. Teddiursa, wake up! Mason shouts. This does allow Price to land a stomp, but the little bear does wake up quickly after that, and so the real battle begins, with the little bear being able to counter Headbutt with a headbutt of its own, and it's able to negate quite a bit of Stomp's power with a slash. And both of the Pokemon do repeatedly use Ice Fang versus Thrash, which unfortunately does leave Teddiursa a bit more down. But then Price reveals his ultimate attack, Blizzard. At this call, the little Poliswine creates a giant storm of falling gigantic snowballs, and Slash can only do so much. Teddiursa takes quite a bit of damage, but Mason has an idea. Okay, buddy, I need you to wake up a lot sooner this time, but use rest. Nodding, the little bear falls asleep. Knowing that this could be what they need, Price asks for another Blizzard, which his ace is more than happy to oblige in. But as the first snowball hits the little teddy bear, a glow covers it. You see, the teddy bear did find it a lot harder to fall asleep and was not very happy with being pelted by ice while sleeping. So in a moment, it wakes up with an incredible rage, and before anyone even notices that it awakens, the little teddy bear Pokemon evolves. And with 2 powerful fire punches, it discards the blizzard, taking minimum damage. Then, when Piloswine tries a headbutt, again, it does something very differently from previously. It grabs the tusks and slams the ground ice type onto the icy floor before finishing it with a fire punch. And then, of course, he falls asleep. But it still did end the battle. A win's a win. And so Mason receives his badge. And his Teddy Ursa has evolved, while still keeping its sleepy attitude and falling asleep. So it's a win-win. We cut to a few hours later. Lance has just left the secret Team Rocket base, impressed by the ability someone had to go through it without his help. As he leaves, he runs into Price, and Lance questions the old man, wondering if the old man had gotten strong enough to do something like this. The old man shakes his head, stating that instead it was a kid. That kid had just several hours earlier gotten their 7th gym badge from him and has left. But the old man has no doubt that this kid will be able to make his way through the Silver Conference and get the chance to battle Lance. He's sure of it. The kid with the fluffy will be challenging Lance soon in the future. He doesn't know quite when, but the kid will be there. And so that's where we end this part. Did you guys enjoy it?